Please open mind. Discern this in all information. August 7, 2016. July Monthly Update Interview by Cobra. Here is the July Monthly Update Cobra interview by Prepare for Change. Lynn, welcome Cobra. Cobra, thank you for an invitation. It will be a big pleasure for me to participate in this interview. Lynn, Cobra, I know you just recently had a very busy month having conferences, one in Thailand and one in Taiwan. I'd be interested in getting to know how you choose locations of the upcoming conferences. Is there certain characteristics of the country or the land that you look for? Cobra, I try to do those conferences in the areas when there is the maximum influence on the planetary situation, and both locations are in the region which is, I would say, in the center of the planetary transformation. Eastern Alliance has very strong presence in those countries, so this is one of the reasons why those two counties were chosen. Lynn, okay. That's great. Since you did have these conferences and many of us didn't get to attend, is there anything that you can share with us from those conferences? Cobra, certain things from the conferences and certain things from behind the scenes will be published on the blog when the time is right. 2012portal.blogspot.com. So everybody will be able to read that. Lynn, okay. We'll go back to a couple of questions from last month, Cobra, and I'll read them to you again. The first one was about RT News in Argentina. That they were going to end the public transmission, and we were wondering if you have any comments or additional information on this. Cobra, yes, unfortunately this is true, and I would say the cabal presence in Argentina is getting stronger. One of the reasons for that is that many members of the cabal are planning to escape to that country and have it for their home base on their own journey to Antarctica. There is a strong push in South America. The cabal wants to take the South America into their hands completely. They want to lessen the influence of the Eastern Alliance there. And this is part of that process. So this is just part of the final war before the breakthrough. Lynn, well, it will be nice to have all of the war over. Several years ago, an amateur photographer, astronomer, by the name of John Leonard Walson released photos of several unknown craft that he photographed in Earth orbit. Some were correctly identified as the ISS, International Space Station, and the Space Shuttle, but many of these craft were not so easy to identify. Some of the photos can be found, and there's a link in the description, rense.com web link. Can you comment on these photographs, Cobra? Cobra, yes. Actually, his photographs are one of the cleanest images of some of the Solar Warden low-orbit spacecraft. And yes, some of them are photos of the ISS and Space Shuttle, but some of them are actually a real genuine photographs of low Earth orbit secret space program, SSP, vehicles. If you would like to see how those look like, you can go to his website and take a look at those photos. Lynn, well, that's great confirmation. Thank you for that. Benjamin Fulford in his article stated that the Rothschilds are working to reverse the results of War World I by reinstating the German, Austro-Hungarian and Russian monarchies. He stated that European ATMs will be shut down, possibly in August or September. At that point, the royal families will present themselves as saviors and provide for the people large amounts of fiat money and security in exchange for the reinstatement of the monarchies. Do you see this as a possibility, Cobra? Cobra, no. It's actually a plan of the Jesuits to survive this transition tact, and Rothschilds as their servants comply with that plan, but this is not going to happen. Lynn, well, that's good news. Benjamin Fulford, Typepad blog, July 26, 2016. The Rothschilds, hiding in Switzerland, have failed to meet the July 25, 2016 deadline set to them by the White Dragon Society and its allies. The light is green. He initiated the green light. Who will perform the surgical strike? Do you have any comments, Cobra? Cobra, okay. I will put it this way. There are many forces involved in this situation and I will actually release a report about this very soon, and I am not expecting this surgical strike to happen for various reasons. And I will describe some of those reasons in the post. Lin, okay. Thank you. Do you have anything to say about the incident in Nice, France? Cobra, it is part of the endgame the Cabal plays. They want to have, they know they will lose and they would like to create as much chaos as possible before they lose completely. Lin, do they still have enough power to keep going with these false flags? Cobra, actually, yes. At this moment, yes. Lin, do you know about the highly suspicious death of the super soldier, MK Ultra whistleblower, Max Spears on July 16 in Poland? Cobra, yes, yes. It was very suspicious. Actually he was silenced as many others who knew too much. Lin, he did get out a lot of good information though. Is there any truth that China has given secret codes for a large amount of gold, thousands of metric tons, to be given as a loan to the US Treasury so that the dollar will not implode? The catch being the boys in DC must indict Hillary. Cobra, I would not agree with the second part. I would agree to a certain degree to the first part of that statement, but not with the second part. Lin, okay. In a recent interview it was revealed that in certain Hilton hotels there are certain rooms that have the ability to send the occupants into an astral state for meetings in 4D. It was said that trainings are done in 4D because it's more fluid. Is this true, Cobra? Can you elaborate? Cobra, I cannot confirm this because I would say that those trainings can happen not only in Hilton hotels but many locations throughout the world regardless. It is not tied to that specific brand of hotel. Lin, okay. Do they do this? Do they meet in 4D? Cobra, I would say that the light forces have certain technologies that can assist in transition of in the dream state to a higher level where certain education and training can take place. Lin, and I suppose the Cabal does the same? Cobra, the Cabal actually suppresses and lowers the vibrational frequency of people during the sleep through various veiled technologies as they do also in the waking state. Lin, okay. We know that the chemtrails and common household products that we use, toothpaste, sunscreen, hairspray, deodorant, etc. are laced with chemicals that decrease our body's immune system and promote disease. Are there other things that we're not aware of that are also causing harm or suppressing our immune system? Cobra, I would expose here drinking water that is poisoned quite much. Lin, I agree. One of our readers wrote, I understand that 2/3 of the reptilians have been cleared from the higher planes in the last 2 months. Can you confirm this, Cobra? Cobra, no. Lin, another reader writes, is there a way to connect with higher evolved souls in the universe that would share technology with us to improve our planet and mankind in this time of change? Cobra, okay. Those highly evolved souls are really waiting for the right conditions to release that technology to humanity, and it will not be released telepathically, it will be released on the physical plane. But first the Cabal needs to be removed from the situation. Lin, so is there something that we have to do like raise our vibrations in order to connect with them? Cobra, you can always connect with higher evolved souls. There are many ways to do it and you are free to explore that area and meditate and connect with various positive races, and that will strengthen the connection for sure. But this is not by itself enough for the final breakthrough. Lin, okay. Another reader is writing, is humanity in its third seeding? Cobra, okay. I need to understand this question to answer it. Lin, I think what he's trying to say is that humanity has been destroyed twice and that this is the third time that humanity has been seeded on Earth. Cobra, Actually I cannot agree with that statement that humanity has been destroyed. There were various cycles and various races, but human race by itself was continuously inhabiting this planet for more than 1 million years. Lin: so there's been no break. Cobra: there was no break at all. Lin: okay. This same gentleman also wanted to know if you know about the Voynich manuscript. Is there anything that you can tell us about that? Cobra: the Voynich manuscript is a very old manuscript which has encoded messages that reveal one part of the higher knowledge. It has never been completely decrypted, and it is not the purpose for this to be decrypted before the event. Lin: okay. Thank you. Cobra: are you familiar with the work of Michael Tellinger in South Africa? Is there a part that he has to play in the coming changes, or maybe in our new golden age? Worldview with Ubuntu parties. Michael Tellinger: Cobra: yes, to a certain degree. He's trying to create a model of society that will work more fairly and more harmoniously. It is one part of the transformation. Lin: okay. Great. As of last evening, July 28, 2016, the Paris Climate Treaty was finalized. The currency exchange was hidden in this treaty. There are now 208 countries that recognize the Republic of the United States. Along with the new republic there will be a new currency, the United States Treasury Note, USTN, and the petrodollar will be phased away. Are we about to see the long-awaited currency exchange? Do you have any comments on this, Cobra? Cobra: okay. Again I will state it this way. The Republic and the currency reset will happen at the moment of the event and not before. It's part of the global process. It is not just isolated to the United States. It will be a planetary reset which will include the reinstatement of the Republic in the US and will include the introduction of the Treasury dollar, and it will also include the phasing out of the petrodollar, actually the finalization of the existence of the petrodollar. So all this is going to happen on a global scale at the moment of the event and not before. So people who are waiting for the reset and who are waiting for the new republic before the event, this is not going to happen. Lin: I know you don't want to hear this question, but are we getting closer to the event? Cobra: we are getting closer day by day. I know there are many delays. Part of those delays are based on human inefficiency, human error, human mistakes. Part of those delays are based on other factors, but I would say that we are getting closer. Lin: okay. I have some questions that are grouped in sections, and so I will read these one at a time. The first section is under energy and technology. This one's about oil. The Earth's crude oil is refined for gasoline, jet fuel, heating oil, and petroleum products. Are oil and natural gas each a finite resource? Cobra: yes, they are a finite resource, but actually they are being phased out because the current society is going to transition into a new source of energy which will be much cleaner and not so harmful to the nature and ecosystem. Lin: does the Earth continuously produce these things even though they're finite? Does it produce a certain amount, or is it just basically what's there is there? Cobra: certain amount is produced and there is much more which has not been discovered. But as I said before, it will not be as important as people think. Lin: great. If the Earth continuously produces oil and gas, then we have been told massive lies about these substances being finite. Does the Earth need these substances for her health as a planet? Cobra: yes, actually they are part of the, I would call it, planetary blood system, and they are needed for the planetary crust to energetically operate correctly. Lin: so it's a good thing if we would just discontinue the use of these things. Cobra: yes, they are part of the natural geological ecosystem and they need to be there and they will remain there. Lin: thank you. Energy and technology. David Wilcock recently talked about how the Germans have developed for automobiles, a small disc or small piece of equipment that can be placed in each car cylinder, and this would eliminate the need for gasoline. The event will happen and there will still be millions of cars on the road all over the planet that will need to be converted to free energy or new energy systems. So, do you expect something like this German cylinder system to be available soon after the event? Cobra: yes, actually I expect something very similar to be distributed after the event, in a few weeks after the event, and cars could be converted quite easily with this new system. Lin: that's good news. Okay. We're going to move on to Africa regarding the giant portal in the Congo of Africa. It appears from aerial maps that this is a circular area in the Congo and it's huge, like 600 kilometers across. Was it there from the Earth's beginnings, or was it created later on? If it was created, how? Cobra: it is very old. It was not there from the Earth's beginning, but it's part of a natural process. Lin: did it have anything to do in the mid-90s with the Archon invasion? Cobra: no. No. Lin: does this portal give off energy or suck energy, or what are its characteristics? Cobra: it's a natural energy vortex. It was actually part of the original paradise structure before the arrival of human beings to this planet. Lin: recently, light workers have visited the Congo to try to heal its negativity. Can you give us any update on this portal and what is going on there? Cobra: this portal is starting its transformation process. There is a lot of things that need to be done, but it's at least started. There was no access of the light to that portal before, but now there is a certain healing taking place in the area. But it will take some time. Lin: good, I understand. Regarding the large and unusual animals in Africa, such as elephants, giraffes, hippos, rhinos, lions, and zebras. Did they come from another planet? Cobra: I would say that some of their genetic material came from other star systems and was influenced genetically by very advanced races that had some knowledge about genetics. Lin: were they from planets that we currently know about? Cobra: some of them yes, some of them no. Lin: this writer also wrote, in ancient times when people on the earth were much larger, these animals were more in proportion to humans? Would you agree with that? Cobra: yes, I would agree with that. Lin: does each of them have some sort of spiritual significance or wisdom for us? Cobra: actually, every animal has a spiritual aspect and they all have spiritual significance for us. Lin: thank you. We're going to move on to Europe. Where does the Brexit vote fit into the efforts to bring about the event? Cobra: actually this situation is not related to the event. It's part of the usual political ups and downs that are happening within the old system, so I would not put too much attention to this. Lin: okay. This sort of fits in with the rest of the discussion here. Is this the first significant domino to fall in humanity's struggle for freedom, or is it something that is secretly being manipulated by the elite? Cobra: it has been manipulated by the elite. It is not big victory as some people would like to portray it. Bigger victories are coming and they will be much more significant and you will see immediate results when they happen. Lin: great. Europe regarding Portugal. Are there Michael energies anchored in the capital and in Sintra, Portugal? Cobra: yes there are. Lin: this person says the E.T.S lived in Mt Tide and these E.T.S told me they were hiding and were being chased. Mount Tide is a volcano on Tenerife in the Canary Islands, Spain. Are you aware of beings under Mt Tide? Cobra: there are many, I would say, entities living in that area because that area was part of the old Atlantis and I would say the situation there is improving at this point. Lin: do you know if they are still there at this point? Cobra: there are certain beings still there, yes. Lin: okay. Moving on to Sweden, this writer states, the clouds over Sweden have changed and seem to be glowing over the last month. Are you aware of this and can you tell us why this is happening? Cobra: yes, I'm aware of this. Part of this is the so-called auroras, which are quite intense. And there are also very bright stratospheric clouds which are not very common but are quite intense this year because of many reasons. So, I would say people in high north, close to the pole or very high up north are seeing many interesting displays in the night skies. Lin: it sounds fascinating. Okay. Moving on to the EU. Is German Minister of Finance Wolfgang Schäuble a Draco or a reptile? Cobra: he is a Draco. Lin: okay. What can we expect from him regarding the members of the European Union? He seems to be putting more and more countries in poverty. Cobra: he is part of the old world structure. He is just obeying orders from the Jesuits. So you can expect more of the same from him. Lin: okay, that's too bad. Moving on to Romania. Are you aware of energy vortexes or portals in the Carpathian Mountains in Romania? Cobra: yes, I am aware of those, yes. Lin: can you talk about what is there or can you give us any information about the importance of this area? Cobra: this area was actually an area when there was a very advanced ancient civilization living, I would say about 10,000 years ago, and there was also a lot of ET presence there. There are huge underground complexes there in that region. There were some books written about this. One of those books was Transylvania Sunrise, which actually writes about this. There is also a lot of gold underground in that area. Part of that gold was used by the light forces to anchor spiritual energies in that area. Lin: that's great. Okay, moving on to Europe. Do you have any information on the direction Poland might be going? Cobra: as I said a few times before, Poland is on the crossroads between the East and the West, between the NATO countries and the Russia, and they are trying to navigate their situation. Because of that reason there is a lot of inner conflict in Poland politics. As we come closer to the event, the situation there will improve, but not much before. Lin: we're going to a Nazis question. What was the purpose of the Nazi Rizu complex in Poland, which was built in the 1940s? Riz is German for giant. Was this complex used to build the Nazi spacecraft, or was it used for something else? Cobra: it was part of the Nazi secret space program, and also there was some development of the Nazi nuclear bomb in the area. Lin: we are aware of Maria Orsic and the Vril girls. Did anyone from the Agarthan civilization assist the Nazis during World War II? Cobra: not the Agarthan network, but there were other factions underground in Asia. One part of the Draco which had been contacted by Haushofer, and some of them actually came to Germany. Lin: okay, thank you Cobra. Now for Ireland. Was the country of Ireland part of Atlantis? Cobra: yes, of course. Lin: are there certain genetic traits that Irish people have as descendants of Atlanteans? Cobra: not only the Irish, but I would say many of the races on this planet have part of that genetic makeup. But what I would say is that Irish people have a lot of spiritual legacy from Atlantis, and some of them are quite aware of that. Lin: thank you. Finland. Some Finnish people are reporting nature and elemental creatures appearing to them. Is this part of the raise in vibration in Poland, Finland? Cobra: yes, it's part of the raising vibration around the world. Lin: wonderful. Now we're going to Syria, Turkey, and Middle East. What is it that the Cabal wants to do in the Middle East? What is their intentions there? Cobra: their intention is to have perpetual instability and war to keep people enslaved. So they are having that area the potential trigger for destabilization for the planet, and they're keeping that in that shape for the last I would say 60-70 years since the end of World War II. Lin, wow, that's so sad. Their globalization appears to be failing. Is the whole thing an effort to make Israel control the whole Middle East, or what seems to be their goal with the endless wars there? Just control of the people? Cobra, control of the people, creation of fear is actually feeding the archons, I would put it simply. Israel was created precisely to polarize the area. That was the goal, the aim of the creation of that state by the way it was created. Lin, some say the coup in Turkey was a failed attempt by the CIA because Erdogan had a change of heart, others say it was a fake coup to grab more power, and you said that it was a failed attempt by the positive military, so why didn't the resistance movement help? Cobra, as I said many times before, the RM cannot easily contact the surface population because then the Chimera group would retaliate and detonate the toplet bombs, so that is not a wise thing to do. And I would say that the positive faction in Turkey did not have enough intel to plan their operation correctly, and this is why it failed. Lin, there's really a delicate balance, isn't there, with all of these situations? How will the event reshape the situation in the Middle East? How much is the positive military faction in charge of the US military apparatus? Cobra, yes, quite much. It is not in charge. It is quite much present, but it doesn't have the upper hand yet. Lin, are positive military in Turkey recovering in some way, and what is the status of the positive military in Turkey now? Cobra, it is a very sensitive question, so I would not answer this. Lin, okay. Can we do something to help them recover? Cobra, you can always send healing and light energies to them. You can visualize them coming back to their power. Lin, since the coup in Turkey was attempted by positive forces and they failed, what is going to happen to the tens of thousands of people, including military, teachers, judges, lawyers, reporters, men, women, children and all, that Erdogan is rounding up and is torturing and possibly executing in the near future? Cobra, I would say what is important here is for alternative media to report their stories as much as possible to create as much awareness as possible about their situation, and this can prevent certain things from happening. Lin, who are the forces in charge of the F-16s who shot down the helicopters of the coup leaders and helped Erdogan maintain his power? Cobra, the negative US military faction under the command of the Jesuits. Lin, it is said that Russia alerted Erdogan to the coup before it happened. Is this true? Cobra, I cannot confirm that information. This is just rumors which I could not confirm. Lin, okay. What is the future of Turkey after this failed coup? Cobra, okay. As seen now, the situation is not very bright, but there are certain actions being taken to counteract this. Lin, after the terrorists are defeated in Syria, are the Kurds going to create their own country with pieces of Syria, Iraq, and Turkey, or are the borders going to remain the same? Cobra, actually the situation is going to be resolved around the time of the event. I do not see any drastic restructuring of borders before the event, and after the event I can see dissolution of all borders. Turkish people would have their own state. Kurdish people would have their own state, but with no drastic demarcation with borders as we have them now. All nations would still be independent and sovereign, but they would not be having independent states after the event. It will be more of a unified consciousness. Lin, I see. Thank you. After Iran, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon and Russia defeat all the Hazarian-financed terrorists, are they finally going to confront Israel and make it pay for its dirty deeds, or are they going to look the other way and let Israel get away without punishment again? Cobra, it is not going to happen like this. There is a negative faction in every country, not limited to Israel, which instigates this conflict. And when those particular people will be removed at the time of the event, the whole geopolitical picture of that area will change. There is, this is actually an artificial conflict which does not need to happen. It is being created artificially by negative factions in every country, not just Israel. Lin, yes, it's really a shame. Those people are suffering. USA, can you give us an update on Long Island and the Brookhaven labs and any progress of the light forces there? Cobra, not much progress in that area because the situation which is remaining there is directly tied to the toplet bombs and there has not been a breakthrough in that area yet. Lin, thank you. Stanford University in California, SLAC or Stanford, Laser, Linear Accelerator Center, has a particle accelerator also. Are they manipulating the plasma around the Earth in a bad way at Stanford also? Cobra, they are trying to, but their accelerator is not strong enough. Lin, great. Do we need to be concerned about what they're doing at Stanford? Cobra, not really. You can send some healing energies to the area or do some meditations, but it's not a critical point at this moment. Lin, are secret experiments with time jumping performed with Large Hadron Collider on CERN? Cobra, I would not agree with that. They are not able to manipulate time in the way it is stated in the alternative media. Lin, okay. Great. USA Sedona, you have said that Sedona, Arizona in the United States is a very important energy vortex. What is the significance of Sedona? Cobra, Sedona is one of the major contact zones after the event for the first contact. Lin, wonderful. One researcher has stated that Sedona was the North Pole of the Earth millions of years ago. Is this true that Sedona was the North Pole millions of years ago? Cobra, I cannot confirm this information. Lin, okay. Cobra, do you know of any other ancient cultures besides the Vikings that made it across the Atlantic? That might be the Egyptians, Phoenicians, etc. Cobra, yes. Egyptians yes, Phoenicians yes, and also ancient Greek people were able to cross the ocean. There are artifacts on the other side. You can find Egyptian artifacts in US. You can find Greek coins in Brazil. You can find Phoenician glass also somewhere in South America, so there are artifacts which prove that the ocean was crossed in the ancient times also. Lin, interesting. This writer was interested to know if there are Egyptian artifacts found in the Grand Canyon, or is this a hoax? Cobra, no, it's not a hoax. There were Egyptian artifacts found in the Grand Canyon and some of them were not emerging from the surface Egyptian population from ancient Egypt but from underground breakaway group from Egypt which actually crossed the ocean, discovered the tunnel system in the canyon and went underground. Lin, that's so interesting. Asia, can you tell us a few things about the Tao Chinese philosophy? Cobra, I would say this is one of the purer spiritual systems on this planet and was actually created by star people coming from other star systems thousands of years ago and was supported by the Agarthan network quite much, and there is a lot of wisdom in that spiritual system. Lin, thank you. You answered my next question. Is the Tao used by the light forces? Are there specific things in it that we should know or pay attention to? We know there are 81 messages. Cobra, yes, I would say you need to search this on your own. It's an individual code for individual persons, individual situations. It's not global wholesale answer to this. Lin, okay. Are there other philosophies on Earth that are useful for us to pay attention to as light workers and light warriors? Ones in particular that this person is thinking of is Tibetan Buddhism, Christianity, Zen Buddhism, Shinto, Kabbalah, for example. Cobra, it is again up to the individual to choose their own spiritual philosophical approach to reality. I'm not here to say what you need to believe or how you connect with your own higher self or with the source. Lin, okay. Great. Asia Gold, can you confirm this gold bounty that Ben Fulford has written about lately? Is this true that Chinese families are really offering large amounts of gold to people to bring in the bad guys? Cobra, I would say that certain forces are backing this up in a certain way, as much as I can say. I'm not saying that there is actual gold involved, but I would say that those bounties are backed in a certain way. Lin, okay. Asia Dragon Families, Cobra, you recently had conferences in Taiwan and Thailand. You said many of the dragon families were especially in Taiwan. Are these dragon families disgusted with people in the West? Cobra, I would say that many of the dragon families I'm referring to are not known in the West. I would say just that what is known in the West is just the tip of the iceberg, and there is much more which is not discussed anywhere for a very good reason. Lin, but how do they feel about us? Do we feel like we're spoiled children to them, or how do they look at Western countries? Cobra, those that I have contact with have no judgment of the West. They don't see Western people in a certain specific way. They would just like to unite everybody on the planet for the goal of the planetary liberation. Lin, I agree with that. That's wonderful. Looking at Antarctica, do you know anything about the cabal currently fleeing to underground bases in Antarctica? Cobra, I would say they are trying top, but that's a trap, so they are just willingly flying into a trap. Lin, have any of those tried to go to Antarctica yet or? Cobra, yes, some of them are actually located there at this very moment and they do not realize that they are not safe there yet. Lin, it is also said that most of the cabal are in Israel and New Zealand. What do you think about this? Cobra, I would not agree with that. I would still say that most of the cabal is keeping their old positions. They are where they were a few months or a few years ago. Lin, in Cobra's latest update, Cobra, you talk about the negotiations going on with the cabal. In Corey Good's latest interview, Cosmic Disclosure Season 5, Episode 8, it is not out on YouTube yet, he mentions that there is a faction of the cabal that are going to Antarctica to underground bases to avoid the coming galactic pulse. What is going to happen to this faction? Cobra, this faction will be rounded up by the RM when the time is right. Lin, will they still be a problem to contend with after the galactic pulse and after the event? What will their status be? Cobra, they will not be a problem at all. Those who will cross over and become part of the light forces will go through a certain adjustment process. They will need to answer for their crimes and then they will be reintegrated into society. Those that will refuse to join the light will be taken to the central sun. Lin, okay, the next subject area is money. You have said to move money out of banks, but many of us have retirement accounts that we are essentially forced to keep in banks, or inheritance money that is in banks. Many people cannot afford to own property because a mortgage is required to that property. Will we be paid back our money if it disappears from banks? Cobra, I have already answered this question. After the event you will be paid back everything that you had in your banks before the event. This will be paid from the collateral accounts. Lin, okay. This is such a huge concern for people, Cobra, that we get so many questions on this subject area each month. Can you talk a little more about money and banks? Cobra, yes, but you would need to be more specific. What is the question? Lin, in the USA, we have institutions called credit unions. Are credit unions safer? Cobra, they are a little bit safer, yes, but not completely safe. Lin, we also have some small community banks. Are the smaller banks safer than the bigger ones? Cobra, it depends on each particular case, but in general yes, they are safer. Lin, you have said in the past that some humanitarian projects could be funded before the event takes place. That the event would happen soon after. If there is going to be a total financial reset at the time of the event, then what is going to happen to those funds transferred before the event? Cobra, I would say that all transactions that are not illegal will be respected. So any transaction that you make financially before the event, they will be respected, except those who were part of the cabal's operations to steal money from the people. Lin, okay. Do you believe that there will be bank bail-ins before the event? Cobra, it is possible. Lin, do you think that we will see hyperinflation or a situation where things will become very expensive, before it gets better? Cobra, I do not expect hyperinflation in the US before the event. Lin, but this could happen elsewhere? Cobra, it can happen in certain countries but not as a global phenomenon. Lin, okay. Can you tell us about OneCoin, which is a different type of electronic currency system than Bitcoin? Do you know about this system OneCoin? Cobra, I heard about it but I have not checked it truly, and I would say that all those electronic systems are good to a certain degree, but they are not the most efficient way to replace the current system. Lin, are these electronic currencies being manipulated by the cabal? Cobra, most of them not. Some of them are. Bitcoin, for example, is not. Lin, would you agree that possibly this is a better place to put money? Cobra, you can, if you feel so inclined, you can put some money in, yes, but it's not completely reliable. Lin, so there's a possibility of the money disappearing from them at some locations? Cobra, yes, as it has happened already a few times. Lin, okay. Is Dr. Ray C. Dam the International Treasury Controller? Cobra, okay. This is a very... I would say that many people claim to have certain positions in this occult financial structure, but I would simply say that the real people with real power in the occult financial system will only be made public at the time of the event. Lin, okay. Does this person, the International Treasury Controller, does he have legitimate control over the world's gold? Cobra, I would say that no single person or no entity has a legal control of the world's gold. That gold belongs to humanity and not to any particular person or organization regardless of their claims. Lin, yeah, I like that answer. Can you tell us what role he will possibly play at the time of the financial reset, this International Treasury Controller? Cobra, I would say that many individuals who are part of various organizations or groups will have advisory roles as long as they will be able to work and cooperate with other groups and other claimants for different positions. Lin, okay. There are a lot of people at the end of their working lives, ages 60, 65, 70, and 75, who would like to stop working but have not been able to. Can you give any assurances to this group that they can stop working and will have nothing to worry about after the event? Cobra, okay, I can assure them that after the event they will be taken care of, but I cannot give them any guarantees for the time before the event because we're in this endgame phase and it is not a very stable period in human history, so I cannot give them any specific guarantees for that time frame between now and the event. Lin, okay. Thank you. How do you think the prosperity will be released? Cobra, as I said many times before also, at the moment of the event the reset will happen and then for a certain period of time the banks will be closed and then the prosperity funds will be distributed around the world through the current actual banking system. Money will appear on your bank account. Part of the money will be invested in humanitarian projects around the world. I would say that the whole financial structure will just be the beginning. Then the whole financial structure will begin to transform as the consciousness of humanity arises more and more. Lin, does it make sense to release prosperity and healing first to those that are the most in need? That is, those that are hungry or very, very poor? Cobra, yes, it is one of the top priorities. When the funds will be released, people who are hungry or extremely poor will be on the top priority lists along with those who need medical assistance. Lin, that's good. Is there any update that you can give us on the whole currency reset issue? Cobra, there is no particular update at this point. The Eastern Alliance is building their networks. There are many negotiations behind the scenes, but I cannot give any definite result at this point. Lin, some time back Cobra, you spoke about becoming debt-free. That once we understand that we owe these bankers nothing, we will be debt-free. Cobra, yes, but I'm not speaking about theoretical philosophical be free of that. I'm speaking about actual balance in your bank account. Lin, this person was believing you were speaking spiritually, but they couldn't understand how that would be. Is this person off track? Cobra, I would say that there needs to be a physical clearing of your plate so you owe nobody nothing. This of course translates to the spiritual world. You need to clear the physical aspect of this to liberate yourself from the energy connection and attachment to the cabal. Lin, okay. How long after the event will it take to replace our current monetary system into a completely benevolent system that does not utilize currency? Cobra, I would say it can be anywhere between a few months and a few years. Lin, well that's optimistic. Thank you. Cobra, yes, because after the event humanity will have all the intel and all the support possible and this transformation does not need to take long. Lin, okay, we're back. Now we're going to go on to childhood and family life. One listener writes, I have very, kind of funny, healthy and very kind parents and I don't think the archons gave me difficult parents. Is it true that some of us are lucky and get to grow up in nice families? Cobra, yes, it is true. Lin, and then she writes, or am I simply not seeing the problems that I should be seeing? Cobra, if you don't see problems it's a very good sign. It means that there are no problems there. Lin, yes, let's not make any. Okay. Some of us are children and teenagers. How can we younger people assist the light workers when our families don't believe in what we are doing? What actions can we take? Cobra, your families don't need to believe in what you're doing. You can actually spread what you understand, what you know through the internet and through electronic social media. Lin, okay. Thank you. Now we'll go to planets and galaxy. Do you know about the mysterious object that exited out of a black hole in our galaxy? This was first reported in autumn 2015. This was a very huge object because it was noticed by Earth-based instruments. After it emerged, there was a massive pulse of X-ray energy. Can you tell us any more about this, Cobra? Cobra, this is a very interesting question. I would need to see the link and then I could then comment because there was quite much activity around the galactic central sun and I need to know exactly which of those particular events the questioner is referring to. Lin, okay, I don't have any more details but I'll try to search it out. Planets and galaxy again. In your June interview, Cobra, you spoke about how all the universes were absorbed into this one around the year 1999. You said it was very fast and intense when the other universes came through a wormhole into this one. Was there anything that was seen or observed from Earth regarding this event? Cobra, no. Lin, could this be the great attractor that the scientific world speaks about? Cobra, no, it's not the great attractor. Lin, okay. The NASA Juno spacecraft is now in Jupiter's orbit for research. Can you tell us what is going on with Jupiter right now, especially its relationship to Earth? You have talked about beings on the moons of Jupiter who are helping us. Can you update us regarding Jupiter and perhaps the Jupiter Command? Cobra, the situation there is, in a way, it's the same as it was. There are still operations on the way. There will be updates about this in, I would say, moderately near future when there will be certain upgrades in that area, but not yet. What is interesting here is that this famous Juno spacecraft did not produce any photos and there is almost nothing in the news about this. Lin, do you think there are really no photos or they're just not showing us? Cobra, they're just not showing us. Lin, okay. That's what I thought. This next reader wrote, for those awake beings that did the hard work, who choose to leave this planet, how long do we have to wait in order to get our ticket out? Cobra, until the event, we are still part of the planetary situation. Lin, okay. Great. Can you tell us anything about the date of July 8, 2016? It was set by several groups around the planet for full disclosure. Has progress been made? Cobra, there were some people who were meditating on that day and of course that helped, but there was no, I would say, harmonized effort to create a significant push. Lin, so it needs to be a little more powerful? Cobra, it needs to be quite more powerful. Lin, okay. This month, in July 2016, a massive new hole in the Sun, or a big patch of black in the corona, was discovered by NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory. Can you explain to us what this dark hole is in the Sun? Would argonite help at all with the sneeze of the Sun to balance the energies? Cobra, okay. This is part of the response of the Sun to the increased galactic energies. We are not there yet, but all those instances are interesting indicators that we are getting closer. Lin, besides the Sintamani stone, how could we specifically help to balance these incoming energies? Cobra, simply by meditating and connecting with your higher self. Lin, okay. Regarding Planet X, you have said Planet X has an unusual orbit, not usually visible to us. How close is it to the Earth right now? Cobra, it is still more than 10 billion km away. It is not close. That sounds pretty far, yes. Lin, does its gravitational field affect us? Cobra, very little. Lin, what kind of energy does it carry? Cobra, it carries the energy of liberation. Lin, I like that. I have 2 more questions, Cobra, and that will finish this section. What kind of energy does it carry? And this person is asking loving energy or something else. Liberation. It seems significant mostly because information has been secret for a long time. What significance does Planet X have to us on the Earth and our solar system? And why has it been kept a secret? Cobra, it is, I would say, one of the most important locations in our solar system, and people from Planet X has saved the situation on planet Earth many times. This information has been suppressed by the Cabal because they don't want people to know about this. Lin, okay. This is the last group of planets and galaxy and ET questions. Why are angels so often depicted with wings? Cobra, because in their energy body they have a structure which looks very similar to the wings. Lin, so it's more energetic than physical? Cobra, yes, it's more energetic than physical. Lin, are angels actually angelic beings or ascended masters, or are they something else? Cobra, angels are angelic beings that are actually one of very strong evolutionary force in this universe. Lin, okay. Are angels actually ets that arrive and leave on ships? Cobra, they don't live on ships, they live in the energy fields of higher dimensions. Lin, so, they don't need ships? Cobra, no, they can create energy fields in the ship form, but it's not necessary. Lin, okay. I want to thank you very much for being patient with me and answering so many questions today. We will